Welcome to the Thursday edition of Saturday Morning Live, and I am your host, Sal Santori. Thanks for joining us. Our guest again today, our very special guest, is going to be none other than Luther Tyree, who is a 25-year veteran of the United States Army. And Luther brings to us his experience and time in the service, having been in the Inspector General's office, which does not preclude him from becoming the enlisted man's friend. So we want to give Luther a second or two here for introduction, and then he'll be joining us live on stage. What we're going to be talking about today is the Compact Act for healthcare for veterans. And this is an incredible piece of legislation that actually gives our veterans and military personnel an additional avenue, let's say, and especially in the realm when we're talking about suicide prevention, which is really the focus of Intervene, as you see on the front of my shirt. Project Intervene is all about educating folks on how to understand what you're seeing during the process leading to, in many times, veteran suicide. It is, in fact, a process and not just an instantaneous decision that, most people may believe. It is a process, and our mission is to let folks know what you're seeing and how to identify it. And once you understand what you're seeing, the next question is, what do we do about it? Well, that's where we come in again, and we explain how to put together a team to safely intervene, which is where the whole Project Intervene comes from. We want to let folks know how to safely intervene, and that is our mission at Project Intervene. And I'm being cued to let folks know that Luther is in the studio and is about ready to come on rather. So we want to take a look and welcome Luther to the show. Luther, welcome.
How you doing,
Thanks
Sal?
for joining us. Glad you're here, brother.
Happy holidays.
Holidays were great. We got to smoke a turkey yesterday, which is kind of our family tradition. That came from living in Boston and working with a bunch of guys from San Antonio.
yeah.
And they introduced me to, hey, we smoke a turkey for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whenever. So it's like ever since then, for the last 100 years, we've been smoking turkeys.
Hey, consistency is key.
There you go, right? Yeah. So welcome, Luther. Tell us about your week. How were your holidays?
My holiday was good. Yeah, we just it was quiet, which is what we needed, and just a little bit of recharge time. Building my wife's main Christmas present, so that was cool. So
that didn't by chance come from like the piano keys that we're learning so much about.
Actually, part of it did.
Okay, great, cool, very cool.
I used part of that. I used some of that left over. I had some scraps left over from a couple of other things I made.
No, you didn't say scraps. Don't tell wife you. No, Luther. Okay, we're gonna edit this part, folks. I don't want. Or I could say you heard it here, folks.
Right, yeah. So that's what we did. She liked it, so that was
cool.
That was good.
Very cool.
Yep. So
yeah.
Yep.
I'm still trying to figure out how to make a wife out of piano keys. It's like they can be used for everything else.
If it can be done, they'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm sad and lonely.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to care. In fact, Santa Claus didn't even come to my house this year.
Really?
No, and I played Santa Claus here 3 weeks in a row upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Here at the farmer's market.
Oh.
Yeah, I dressed up in my Santa suit, And
obviously, you need a better PR firm.
I definitely do. Yeah, because, nobody knew I was here.
Yeah.
And Santa, for God's sake, he figures I'm just so sad and lonely. He's not even coming by.
Maybe he's gonna catch you on his leftover run.
Oh, there you go. Like when they return day.
Yeah.
When they take stuff back to the store.
That's today. That's today.
Yeah.
There's a couple billion people in the world though, so he's probably going to be doing it a day or two. So.
Yeah. I'm not high on that list for him, I don't think.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Compact Act, Luther.
Okay.
What is your take on it?
Well, I think it's a good program. I think from what I know about it, I think one of the keys is it acknowledges that you need to get around any red tape.
Okay,
and
key,
get
very
somebody
key,
to
yeah.
get to the care you need to address any immediate concerns you have. So for those that don't know what the Compact Act, it's called the Compact Act, it's Suicide Prevention for Veterans, and it's available to all veterans, regardless, as long as they have an other than dishonorable. I want to repeat that.
Okay.
Other than dishonorable discharge, you are eligible.
Now let me just make a point here. Now, other than dishonorable, I know there are a lot of folks out there who like get caught up in the legal language.
Right.
Other than dishonorable, does that specifically mean as long as your discharge, your DD 214, does not say dishonorably discharged?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So if you have a general discharge under honorable conditions for this program, you are eligible.
Okay.
Okay. So you also have to have served 24 months on at least 24 months on active duty, or been 100 days, or be a victim of sexual assault while in the Army, while in the military. Sorry, I keep
Right.
I was in the Army. I keep saying the
I
Army.
got to keep reminding myself there were other branches.
Yeah.
We did need support,
Yes.
Okay.
So if that is the case and you feel as though you're in crisis, and you may be thinking of ending your life yourself, you can go to any emergency room. You can go to any VA emergency room, any VA medical center, or any emergency room, civilian, whatever, or call 911 and tell them that you're a veteran, you're in crisis, and they will get you the help they need. They will get you the help you need, and then the VA will pay for it. And you do not have to be registered for VA healthcare to take advantage of this.
Now say that again. That's an amazing piece right there regarding the VA healthcare.
So if you are not registered at the VA, say for example you did a 4-year tour, a 4-year hitch, you got out and you did not sign up for your VA healthcare benefits.
Right.
You can still take advantage of this program. They will still cover you. Okay? You just have to make sure that whoever your provider is, when you go into the emergency room, you tell them that you are a veteran and that you're in crisis. You're thinking of harming yourself, and they will take care of it from there. And the key is to get you the help you need to get you stabilized, and then they'll worry about the paperwork of paying for it and getting the paper trail done and that sort of thing. That's the intent of this act.
It sounds like they're finally getting like the message, Let's take care of our veterans first and worry about the money later.
Well, yes, and as we talked about previously, they're acknowledging and trying to overcome the fact that if you were a veteran and you ended your service, whether you ETS'd or retired,
right,
all of this, you should be registered for all of this stuff if you did what you were supposed to do anyway. But a lot of veterans don't, because for various reasons, they're angry, they're upset, whatever, they're in a hurry, whatever the case, they don't do their out processing as they should. They don't have these things in place, and that's been true. I mean, now it's been, even and the Vietnam guys were the same way. They're the probably the oldest cohort of veterans we have to worry about now.
I want to go back to like when this whole reintegration process upgraded to what we're talking about now wasn't until like the 9/11 era. Am I right?
Well, it actually started. The seeds of it began right after Desert Storm.
Okay.
Okay, and one of the reasons that was a lot of the people who were in charge in the military at that time were Vietnam era people. And so they recognized that this was an issue, and they're the ones that got the ball rolling. And then as the ball continued to roll, people that's how things started to improve. And then when 9/11 actually came about, and we had more and more deployments, more heavy, more and more large scale deployments, that's when they really started to think ahead and say, okay, we're going to have a lot of veterans that are going to have these issues. So because at every stage you saw a conflict after Desert Storm, like take for example Somalia, you had and what the Somalians call the Day of the Rangers, what we call Black Hawk Down.
Right.
A lot of guys had issues from that.
Big time.
And so they realized that they needed to take care of those guys. And so that's when more services and more programs began to be implemented to make sure they took care of those things. And then as time went on in Bosnia and Serbia and all those things, as those things went on, those conflicts went on, they would make sure that they had services available for those veterans. And when 9/11, and then they just expanded it every time there was a conflict. They expanded it, and then when the war on terror started, they really expanded it, realizing that there were going to be tens of thousands of veterans that were going to need these services.
This is a really great partnership we have here, because what we're bringing is my experience, which is prior to Desert Storm, and your experience, which includes Desert Storm and forward.
Mm-hmm.
So we can present, like we can relate and get information out to generations of veterans.
Yes.
Based on that, I think this is great.
Yes.
And I just want to let everybody know we only agree to disagree while the camera's on. Okay, I definitely have a sore spot here, brother. Thank you. No, actually, we relate really well, and this is amazing. It's beautiful. It's awesome because we really can reach a huge segment.
Yes. And for this particular program, I need to be clear. As far as I can ascertain, Vietnam era veterans are included in this.
That was my next.
In this program, there's nothing that says it has to be someone from a certain year. So if you are a Vietnam era veteran, and quiet as this kept, Vietnam era goes all the way to 1975. So if you were in say 73 and you have veteran status from that time and you feel like you've got an issue, well then you are eligible for this program. You're eligible to take advantage of this. So, and I didn't go through all of the details, but I don't think that's necessarily as important as the help. Go and get the help you need if you're in this situation. Go find a professional. Call 911 if that's what you have to do. Go to a VA health center. Go to an emergency room. If you're feeling as though you're in crisis, go get the help you need, and the VA will handle everything else.
I'm going to be totally unprofessional here for a second and just add in for the ticker tape the new current Veterans Crisis number, which is 988, and then dial 1. And this is all you need to dial is 988 and then dial 1 from any phone anywhere, and you will get the Veterans Crisis line. So in a minute, I'm going to go ahead and lean forward and add that into our ticker going across the bottom. But I think that is very, very relevant and information that needs to be put out there.
Yes. Yes.
What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about, we always talk about intervene and how, once we're seeing the I don't want to say telltale signs, but identifiers, I guess, in this process that oftentimes leads to veteran suicide, the loss of sense of purpose, the isolation, the depression, the hostility, the defending my own little island, and actually antisocial as well. Once we identify any of those and realize, hey, this is not just a bad day or bad week or bad month, there's something really going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about the next step, and that's where I'd like to come into. Like, our next step would be, once we see it, what do we do? And what we suggest, and our research has bared out, that we want to start contacting like primary care physicians, um, emotional wellness people, spiritual people, uh, anybody that we can find within, the reach of our veteran, to start to put together what we call a safe intervention team. And by safe, we mean in two ways. One is that we're not going in there like a bull in a china closet.
Yeah.
We don't want to aggravate in any way. We don't want to add to it. And one of the big misnomers is we don't know what that could be.
Yes.
So we need to really tread lightly. And the other part of safe is we want to involve people who are not mandated reporters.
Right.
That's a huge issue. We do not want to involve mandated reporters unless it's absolute imminent death.
Well, I think the key is there's two types of people I think we need to address as far as intervening in a situation. One would be another veteran who sees a fellow veteran, thinks they're having trouble, and the other would be a non-veteran family member or a non-veteran friend. In both of those cases, in my mind, I would think the first thing to do before you did anything would be to contact particularly if you're a civilian and you feel like this person may have issues, is to contact your nearest VA and ask them for help. Ask them to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, how should I proceed? Before you approach the veteran themselves,
right?
You call them and ask them how to proceed. So that way you can start to get the resources that are available to start to try to reach out to this person and let the professionals reach out to this person,
right,
as opposed to trying to force them to go to the VA health center or something like that. Now, if you're a fellow veteran, particularly if you're someone that served with them, again, you're probably going to want to talk to the VA yourself first and ask what to do. But in that instance, you're probably in a little better position to say, hey, man, maybe, take it light. How you doing? You're a little bit, because not only that camaraderie is there, but we all have training in recognizing nowadays. We all have training in how to recognize those signs in a fellow soldier and what to do if someone's approaching you like that, and what to do if you see those kind of signs in your fellow soldier,
right.
What to do immediately to try to kind of put the brakes on them until you can get some help, if that makes sense. So that would be your first step. Don't try to handle it yourself.
Right.
Don't try to handle it yourself. You go and make sure for lack of a better term, you stabilize the situation as best you can immediately, and then you call the professionals and ask them what the next steps should be.
Would you suggest any preemptive awareness, perhaps knowing who to reach out to, having numbers and names kind of like already in place for if you need to reach out?
I think that if we did that for everything, for every situation we run into in life, we'd be carrying a phone book on our back.
I do.
So I think that just to have it in your mind, for the people listening, just to have it in your mind that the people to contact, at least initially, unless it's an emergency situation, if you feel somebody's having issues, a veteran is having issues along those lines, your first choice would be to your local VA, or to call the VA crisis line yourself, okay, and ask them what the next steps are. They will be able to get you to where you need to be to figure out what it is you need to do.
I'm gonna err on the side of caution here and say let's just pretend for a minute that we're having great difficulty for some reason reaching like the suicide prevention team or anyone other than a phone bank at the VA, which can be extremely frustrating. So I guess that's kind of my thinking behind. I might want to have like at least an avenue or a plan B,
Okay.
contact plan B and C, because probably at the time when I want it, it's not going to be the most calm time in my life.
Okay. The plan B, I would think. I want you to notice that I'm taking the time to stop and think, which a man I looked up to quite a bit over the years told me, one of the first lessons he told me was, almost no matter what the situation is, you have time to stop, take a second, and think what it is you need to do. And so that's what I'm doing. And the first thing that comes to mind in a situation like that is I I think that situation is quite unlikely because of the number of numbers that the VA has to get you to someone that can get help. So if you get an answer, even an automated answer, it will point you to another number, another phone number, who's going to get you. As soon as you say, "Hey, I think I've got a veteran in crisis that may harm himself," that's going to trigger some things to happen. So you're going to be able to get to someone in reasonably short order that will be able to help you. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of this. So if you wanted to go just to be absolutely sure, I would say call your call when you're not in an emergency high pressure, like you think this person is really going to harm themselves immediately, then you call 911. But other than that, you call, if you can't get anyone else, then you call the non-emergency numbers for either the police or your local hospital emergency room. Call your own doctor and ask them.
There's
What
always
might
somebody.
you can call that, and those people will be able to get you in the right. They will be able to get you in the right direction.
Do you remember the when landlines were the only thing, right?
Yes.
And everybody had that wall phone in your kitchen.
Yes. Yes.
Usually,
Yes.
right in that vicinity was an emergency phone number list.
Right.
And I guess what I'm thinking is something along those lines.
Yes.
To have something like that available. Only because I know, like, in the moment of like challenge, you don't want to run out of options.
Yes.
That's all what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have a phone number. I don't have a phone number off the top of my head. Since we are in the 21st century, what I would say is if you believe that's something you need to do, I'd find the phone number right now.
Right.
A phone number or two, and program them into my phone. If you're somebody that's a little old school like I am, and you carry a notepad all the time, I'd put that into my little notepad, and that's what I would do. Or if worst comes to worst, hit the voice input button on your phone and say, "Hey Google, I need to get a hold of the VA suicide crisis line." And look, my phone just did it.
Right? Yeah. Look at that.
By I didn't even have it, and my phone just did it.
Right.
So you can get.
I am so curious, Luther, and we have 6 minutes, 5 minutes left on the show.
Okay.
I'm going to make what could possibly be a career-ending choice here, but I'm going to do it anyway. and I'm going to dial 988 and see what we get. I've had to use this once
Okay.
for another veteran,
Okay.
and it was a remarkable experience. Unfortunately, not to blow my own horn, but fortunately, I work in this realm, so I was able to navigate it, what I would have to say, better than someone who's unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to go ahead and be the maverick that I've always been. I'm going to dial 988 and see what we get. I'll let them know it's a non-emergency, but we have it on speakerphone here. I'm going to open this up so everybody can hear it.
88 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Para español, marque el número 2. If you are a veteran or service member or are calling about one, press 1. To connect
there we go. We're going to press
LGBTQ.
1. Okay, we've dialed
Stay
1.
on the line while I transfer you to the Veterans Crisis Line. Your call will be recorded and possibly monitored for quality assurance. You may hear beeps during the transfer to a VCL responder.
Let's hold this over to this thing.
Thank you for calling the Veterans and Military Crisis Line. This is Rachel. How may I help you?
Rachel, hi. My name is Sal Santori, and we are live on my podcast for veterans and families. And I actually wanted to test the 988.press1 system, which is why I'm calling. So thank you very much for answering. And I'm very, very interested to let you know right now this is not an emergency. But we're broadcasting and letting folks know that 988 is out there and available. So we just wanted to call and kind of give a live demonstration and let folks know that. What would you estimate the time between you and I speaking now and someone that would be directly assisting a veteran in need at this time?
So here at the Crisis Line, we operate 24/7. There are lots of responders that are, always available. So as far as, our call interfering with, a crisis call, it's very unlikely just due to there being multiple responders available at this time.
Okay, great. Would you have any idea of the usage of 988? Are you receiving like a lot of calls a day, or has it like really increased during this holiday season?
Absolutely. Holidays are a tough time, for a lot of people. And here at the Crisis Line, this is not just a line for suicidal crises. Crisis can look different for everybody. We're here to support veterans and their family members. A lot of people think that this is just, for veterans specifically, and it's not. We're here to help, support the whole family, anyone really.
This is beautiful information because I guarantee 98% of folks are unaware that it extends beyond veterans ourselves and includes families. Is there anything more you can add to that we can let folks know?
I strongly encourage, whether it's a mental health crisis, a crisis directly, with a veteran, or if someone is just struggling mentally and just needs someone to talk to, whether it's the holiday season or not, we're here all the time. This is what we're here for. So even if it's somebody just needing to talk to an actual human, there's the Veterans Crisis Line. There's also a civilian crisis line. There is a prompt whenever you dial 988. If you just listen to the prompts, then it'll tell you or direct you, to whichever line best fits your needs. So there's the Veterans Line, the civilian line, and I believe there's also an LGBTQ plus line as well whenever you dial 988.
Wow. This has been an incredibly amazing and wonderful call. I had no idea this was even available. I'm so glad I did this to let our viewers and listeners know. Um, is do you have like a public relations officer or someone that I could reach out to for like regular communication for updates and things of that nature?
I believe, as far as like the statistics or the just the numbers, like the amount of calls we receive, you could probably just Google that. I think they come out with it, once every year, every couple of years, just the amount of calls we receive, whether it's just for support or it's an actual emergency. I believe you could probably find those online.
How about as far as like procedural updates or additional resources that are available through 988? Is there anything possible along those lines that I could reach out to
So
someone?
we have a Yeah, so we have specific, resources for veterans, whether that's for homelessness, substance use, suicide prevention. So we have resources directly for veterans, and then, if they were a family member or a civilian, we would get them to the right or to the appropriate line to help with their needs as well.
Amazing. And you said your name was Lauren or Rachel?
My name is Rachel.
Rachel, okay.
Hmm.
Thank you so very, very much for being there. And on behalf of folks that may come in contact with you at any point, thank you for what you do very much.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing and just kind of letting it be known. Like you said earlier, there's a lot of people that may be hesitant to reach out to the crisis line, but no need to be hesitant. We all need support in some way or fashion, and it can be very helpful, even if it's just a simple conversation.
Uh, One final question, and I'm totally understanding if it's not something you're able to answer. One of the things we talk about is safe intervention, and by safe in this regard, I'm talking about non-mandated reporting. Um, is How is that relative to the 988 if someone calls in, or is there mandated reporting on all levels? Is there any type of benchmark, or what can folks expect in that area?
So all of our calls are recorded. So we have that. But, if someone is struggling with thoughts of suicide, current thoughts of suicide, we would assess that caller and, we would create a safety plan. We would risk mitigate for weapons, firearms, lethal medications. And then if they declined, needing emergency services, then we would create a concrete safety plan. So come up with a plan together of ways to keep themselves safe while they are having these thoughts of suicide.
Awesome, awesome. So can I surmise based on that in only a very extreme case where you believe there's imminent danger, but the caller is not cooperative at all, that may result in further action through law enforcement or something along those lines?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, okay. Well, our whole goal is to save a life, so we
Absolutely.
right, we all agree we want as little government intervention as possible. However, to save a life, sometimes that may just need to be compromised. So,
Absolutely. And not all of our calls, end up in an emergency dispatch. Some do, but not all of them. As long as we can talk to the caller, we can get a concrete safety plan and, just try to figure out what's going on.
right,
A lot
right.
of times, especially with suicide, death isn't necessarily what the caller wants to happen. they're just trying to escape the pain. You know, they need connection and love, and that's what we're here to do, is to help provide that, even if it's just for a few minutes.
I hope everyone that is on your end of the calls has the beautiful heart that you have. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your time and everything you do. Have a wonderful
Well, you're very
holiday.
welcome.
You bet. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
So that's the answer to the test. If you have a problem,
Wow.
if you have a problem, if you need help, or if you need to help someone, call 988.
Thank you.
Simple.
Thank you, Luther, very much for making another brilliant and beautiful show. And to our greatest family of all time, global viewers and listeners, thank you. And this has been another show for, I don't know what kind of record, what kind of annals, but the information that came out here, is just beyond words, beyond description. So thank you. And until Saturday, this is Sal Santori, and my most fortunate to be blessed with co-host Luther Tyree. Thank you. And we will see you on Saturday. Thank you. And as always, please remember, find someone to help.